ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is a regular meeting of the City Council of Waverly. It is Monday, February 2nd. It is 7 p.m. and we are called to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Who seconds it? Well, thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move approval of the January 19th, 2026 regular meeting minutes, the January 24th, 2026 budget work session minutes, and the January 26th, 2026 study session minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and we have a guest council person with us, a new one for this month. Councilperson Rocky, would you like to introduce your guest?
Sure. I got to know Teresa through being the council liaison to Heritage Days committee, and she's the co-chairman and one of their hardest working volunteers. So she'd never done this before, so I thought it would be a great experience for her.
Yeah.
Awesome, well, welcome, I'm glad you're here.
Welcome. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you.
Okay, this is the date, time, and place for a public hearing on Resolution 26-10, a resolution approving and authorizing execution of a development agreement by and between the City of Waverly and LMI US DBA Revolution Concrete Mixers. The mayor and city council will entertain any comments. After all comments, the hearing will be declared closed and the following action will be considered. Have you received any written or oral comments?
I have not, Your Honor.
Are there any public comments? I see none, so the public hearing is now closed. Council, can I have a motion?
I move approval of Resolution 26-10, a resolution approving and authorizing execution of a development agreement by and between the City of Waverly and LMI US DBA Revolution Concrete Mixers.
Second.
Connie, would you like to come up and give some information, please?
Good evening, I'm Connie Tolan, Planning and Development Specialist, City of Waverly. I'll begin by walking through the key elements of the development agreement. After that, I would like to invite two representatives of the project to the podium to introduce themselves and share more information about the company and the project. The development agreement before you supports a proposal by Revolution Concrete Mixers to open and operate a manufacturing and assembly facility at 102 12th Street Southeast in Waverly. This project represents an estimated capital investment of approximately $18 million and is expected to create approximately 275 new full-time equivalent jobs, offering competitive wages and benefits. The development property is located within the Waverly Unified Urban Renewal District and was added to the city's TIF district ordinance in 2016. Under the terms of the agreement, the company is committing to several key performance benchmarks, including acquiring the development property, completing the minimum improvements outlined in the agreement, entering into a minimum assessment agreement with the county, establishing a minimum assessed value of at least $6.4 million as of January 1st, 2027. Commencing operations at the facility by September 30th, 2026, and maintaining a monthly average of at least 250 full-time equivalent jobs by December 31st of 2030. In consideration of these commitments, the City of Waverly agrees to provide economic development grants in the form of tax increment financing or TIF rebates. Specifically, the city proposes to make up to 6 consecutive annual payments to the developer. Each annual payment would be equal to the lesser of $60,000 or 100% of the tax increment generated by the development property. The cumulative total of all grant payments would not exceed $360,000, and the first grant payment would be made on June 1st, 2029. I do want to emphasize that these are TIF rebates, meaning that any taxes rebated are limited to the new tax increment that's generated by the project. So those are the key elements of the agreement. With that, I would like to invite Parker Criswell of Genovis to the podium to speak in more detail about the project, followed by Brian Datema, Executive Vice President at Revolution Concrete Mixers. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie.
Good evening again. It's good to see everyone. It's only been a few short weeks, but we're here back at it. Connie touched on a lot of the highlights, and so I think the only piece of this that I really want to reiterate again is why this project was, why Waverly was chosen for this project. The biggest driver of that being the strong labor force that Waverly has that possesses a key number of skill sets that are easily transferable to help support quick ramp up to operations for Revolution here in Waverly. Coupling that with the level of support we received from not only local officials and state officials, but also just the community as a whole, definitely helpful in making sure that this project is a win for all parties involved. So with that, I'll introduce kind of what I consider the keynote speaker here from our end. Brian, with the leadership team at Revolution, he'll say a few things, and then again, happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Thank you.
Good evening. So I'm Brian Datema. I'm Executive Vice President of the Revolution Concrete Mixers and London Machinery, our other Canadian brand. Thanks for having me here tonight. I will say on behalf of Bob Monschamp, the president, he couldn't make it because he's got some family with some health issues that he had to stay back home. So he sends his apologies. Anyways, all right, we're really excited about this. I appreciate you guys having us here and considering this economic development program with us. We're excited about Waverly and coming to the town and bringing a bunch of manufacturing jobs. What we're looking for is to bring some fabrication jobs, welding, assembly, those types of folks, again, at a good wage. We're averaging $25 an hour, and then some management of those folks as well, again, kind of averaging that $42 an hour. And with the local and state help, we're looking to do a lot of things with that. Part of that is training the workforce. So, we do a lot of training on how to do the hydraulics or the assembly and safety, most importantly, and how we go about doing those things with our folks, but then also use some of that money to help get that job creation here in the area, to buy equipment so that we have a good long-term sustained growth and a good long-term business here in Waverly. So, lots of different things that we've got there. When it comes to Waverly, so I grew up in a small town, farming town in Michigan. Out of school, my first job was in Pella, Iowa, so not too far away from here. A small company called Vermeer Manufacturing. You guys may or may not have heard of that, right? And then I moved up to Minnesota, so Rochester, another generally farming area. I found personally that a lot of great workers are in towns like Waverly, and so it was an easy choice to say that this is a good place. Plus, obviously, there was a good building. Needs a little TLC, but we're here to make sure that we give that TLC to the building and start making some great concrete mixers made in the state of Iowa out of that facility. So, again, thank you for having me here. Thank you for the consideration for us and this project to work together with you guys in the state of Iowa. And I'm also happy to answer any questions that you might have for me about the project and what we're looking to do.
I'll just say we're glad you chose us. I mean, this is really exciting, and thanks for coming down. You're going to get to know Highway 63 pretty intimately.
I've been down that road a few times already, and it's a fairly easy drive. Even today, when it was a bit snowy, it took me a little bit longer, but not a bad drive at all. So.
Can you tell us a little bit about your timeline? I heard Connie say like end of this year. I mean, what are you envisioning for rehabbing the building and bringing in people to train workers, et cetera. It
Yeah,
seems like
I
a
think
huge
we're
undertaking.
really looking to get employees in as soon as reasonably fast as we can. We've got some good goals for the year that we want to do from a manufacturing standpoint, so I think we'll blow the September thing out of the water. So, maybe it'll be March and April that we really get things kicked off. So, as far as, doing refurb, there's stuff that can happen inside, obviously, right away. Some of the outside stuff, it's gonna have to be a little bit until we get a little bit warmer. But again, we're gonna try to step through this and make sure that we're, for us, the main thing is to focus the effort and money on the things that'll start getting production and getting people hired and all those things. Making the building look a little bit prettier is gonna be a little bit farther down the road. But, yeah, and get equipment in so we can start making concrete mixers.
Great, thank you.
Welcome to town, we're glad to have you.
Yeah, thanks.
How many employees do you have in Rochester?
So we have like 25, but it's mostly engineering. We've got a little bit of finance, marketing.
Will some of those jobs transfer down here?
Some may. We are still going to have the Rochester office, mostly because we had the engineers. So I think historically, this business started in Dodge Center, Minnesota, so about 20 minutes west of Rochester. When Oshkosh shut the business off because they were working on selling it, we took the office employees because those were easily transferable to Rochester. Obviously, production, they didn't want to move to Canada. And again, I know from Bob's perspective and my own, we never wanted to leave the U.S. And so kind of coming back. And some of those employees that are there in Rochester will then also make that drive down 63 to come help support us, so.
Okay.
Any other discussion or questions? Well, thank you. We are thrilled that you are here, so.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, that was moved and seconded, so this is a roll call vote. Carla?
Wolf,
Yes.
Rafi,
Yes,
Mackey,
Yes.
Kangas, sorry, he's gone. Jones,
Yes.
Harmon.
yes.
Okay. Moving on, this is the date, time, and place for public hearing on the second reading of ordinance 1175, an ordinance amending chapter 102 of the Waverly Municipal Code, providing the amendments to the floodplain regulations. The mayor and city council will entertain any comments. After all comments, the hearing will be declared closed and the following action will be considered. Have you received any written or oral comments, Carla?
I have not, Your Honor.
Are there any public comments? I see none, so the hearing is now closed. Council, may I have a motion?
I move to approve the second reading of ordinance 1175, an ordinance amending chapter 102 of the Waverly Municipal Code, providing for amendments to the floodplain regulations.
Second,
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Rafi,
yes.
excuse me, Mackey,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Wolf.
Yes.
Excuse me. Okay, this is the time for public comments on items not on the agenda. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes unless additional time is granted by the presiding officer. All remarks shall be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any individual member. Does anybody have any comments? I see none, so moving on. Council, you have received the consent calendar. The following items will be acted upon by a voice vote on a single motion without separate discussion unless someone from the council or public requests that a specific item be considered separately. Do I have a motion?
I'd move approval of the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? This is a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passed. Okay, on to regular business. So there's a review of fiscal year 2025, the City of Waverly audit by Clifton Larson Allen CPAs. Do we have a representative to present? Go ahead, approach the podium, please, and say your name.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Adam Pulley.
Welcome.
Good to go? Perfect. All right, well, thank you all for having me. I am the principal from CLA in charge of June 30th, 2025 audit for the city. This was our first year doing the audit, so a first time presenting to you all. I will tell you that I tend to, being the auditors, we will be focused on the audit results and not so much the financial or the accounting piece of it, and really just the auditing piece. I had put a few slides together, and I'm not sure if you have them or not. That's okay if you don't have it in front of you. It's quite all right. I really am going to very loosely be referring to it anyhow. It's probably more notes from me than anything else. So at the end of the day, and let me first mention that while I'm going to be focused on the audit results, if you do want to get a good synopsis of the financial piece or the accounting piece during the year, that big financial statement packet, towards the beginning, there's a section called the Management's Discussion and Analysis. That's a palatable, digestible, 8 to 10 pages, something like that, that management puts together that really has summarized information that kind of helps really put together the fiscal year 25. So I want to put that out there. As it relates to the audit, though, at the end of the day, when it was all said and done, we did issue what's known as an unmodified opinion across all the opinion units. That's a clean audit opinion. That's the opinion that you want as a city. Now, we did note within our audit opinion, there were a few audit adjustments that we had, some of which actually impacted the previous fiscal year, so I'll touch on those briefly. And we did have a couple findings that I wanted to communicate to you all. On the front end here, before I get into those details, I did want to mention that the nature of these, I'm going to call them prior period adjustments, and the findings, they are such that I would suggest that the financial information that you've been getting throughout the year is unaffected by these. So the information that you've been going off of to make decisions, things of that nature, while there are things that we noted during the audit that are sort of accounting technicalities to get the city's financial statements in accordance with accounting principles, it would not impact, presumably, the financial information that you're likely getting throughout the year. So I put that context there. So I mentioned that there were a few prior period adjustments, meaning that when we were doing our audit of fiscal year 2025, it surfaced that it appeared that some of the information from FY24 should have been reported differently. So there's 3 of those items, one of which was the other post-employment benefits. This would be the retiree health insurance benefits that employees can generate, and there's a liability that gets shown on the city's financial statements. In the past, this had all been kind of put in one bucket, a governmental activities bucket. Trying not to get too technical here, so to simplify it, really it was determined that some of the other funds, water fund, sewer fund, where there are employees that work in those funds, really those funds should have also had an allocation of that liability. They had been reporting 0 in the past. So it was determined that the allocation would be changed going forward so that liability was spread across the funds where the employees are actually, their salaries are recorded, and it's a little more consistent. So that was one thing that was changed, and will now be looking that way going forward. Second one, probably a little simpler to explain. Capital assets, the accumulated depreciation schedules that we had gotten and had been maintained from previous years, for whatever reason, at some point there were some calculations that were off in the past. It could have been 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. We noticed it. We're not quite sure what why that occurred, but nevertheless, we noticed that really the city's capital assets should have been roughly $2 million higher in value than what it had been carrying forward. So got that corrected. Now it's there. It's good going forward. Last one as it relates to prior period adjustments. It was noted that there were 2 funds that really are there to serve an enterprise fund. Again, trying not to get technical. So for example, there's a water projects fund that had been reported separately, really should be reported within the water fund itself because of the nature of that fund. So again, this is more of a technical accounting reporting thing than anything else. So we got that corrected, trued up so that it's more in line with what we'd expect to see with accounting standards going forward. So those were the 3 prior period adjustments I went through kind of quick. Before I go into the findings, is that any questions? Did I go too fast there? Good. Okay. So Two findings. We did have one finding, which I would suggest was really kind of anticipated. By virtue, there was a finding on the fact that we, as the auditors, assisted the city in putting together that financial packet and proposing some of these audit adjustments, so that's in accordance with accounting standards. Because we are the external auditors, we cannot be considered part of the city's internal control structure. So by virtue of that, we have to note that as a finding. It's actually a very common finding, especially in government. So again, this was something that was kind of known going into the audit, but that's what that finding is for. The other one was there was an area of lack of segregation of duties. The city obviously has a certain limited number of resources here and there, and so when we are doing our audit, we're paying attention to where's their risk, where are their controls in place, second set of eyes, that sort of thing. During our audit, we noted that there was not an independent review of bank reconciliations being done monthly. Now, when we tested the bank reconciliations, we didn't come across any issues. It's just the mere fact that we wanted to point out, hey, it appears that there's, these are being prepared by one individual. Realistically, to have a good control in place, have a second set of eyes, we'd recommend having an independent review of somebody else signing off on those monthly. So that was the nature of that finding. Any question? Those are the two findings that we had. Any questions on those?
I have a question on the second one. So with a city that has a relatively small staff, how do you do that practically?
Well, there are some cities that if it's determined that there's just not enough staff to take care of. There are some municipalities or governments that actually board members get involved. And they might look at those monthly. So we do see that, as long as, we don't necessarily dictate what's the best operationally, but, we are just looking for those second set of eyes, because that's pointing out to you all, where's the risk? What control should you put in place just to try to mitigate any risk?
So it doesn't have to be somebody with financial training, per se?
Well, ideally, it's somebody that could be trained and knows what they're looking at. I think that would be important, certainly in this particular case with bank reconciliations.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, the last thing really that I wanted to go over, because that's all I had for the big financial statement packet. We also issue a smaller letter. It's called the governance communication, and really what that is for the most part is our opportunity to express to you all if there were any significant disagreements, significant delays, problems, things of that nature. Really, I already talked about some of the items that we had put in there as it relates to prior period adjustments. So most of it, beyond that, is really sort of boilerplate language. But that's what that communication is. There was nothing else reportable that I haven't already mentioned. That's what we had issued. That I really didn't have anything else to present. I certainly want to take the time to thank Valerie, the rest of the finance staff, other members of management, James. Being a first-year audit, we certainly ask questions that probably previous auditors already knew, or we asked questions that were just different. And, the group at the city, I will say, was very, not only patient with us, but certainly did not put our questions or put any of our team on the back burner. And they were very forthcoming, and really wanted to do their best to help get the communication and have this collaborative process go as smoothly as possible. So very much thank them for that.
Wonderful. Any other discussion?
I'll just say that I think it is a great summary of the city's financial position, that first section, relatively easy to read, and I would encourage people who have questions about the city finance to look at it, because it's very informative.
Any other discussion?
I'll just add that it was a challenge. I think I would agree. We're a little later than we normally are too, because we had so much to try and get through, had to restate things that we looked at. Anytime you have a new audit, Williams & Company have been with us for probably 20 plus years. So the very new audit they would have had was 20 years ago. They would have went through the same thing we went through this year, identifying any internal controls, looking at any policy and procedural issues. And so it was a lot more work than we probably anticipated. We haven't been through a new audit, like I said, any of us probably here actually. So I was glad to get it done. I'm not gonna lie, it was a lot. But our goal is that we will meet again in a few months to try and get a better understanding. Williams & Company, as great as they were, did a lot of stuff for us that we need to do ourselves to get away from you basically auditing yourself. And that was one of our biggest kicks that we're gonna look at and try and get figured out. And we will find procedurally some way to get the other finding off too. But no, I just appreciate these guys coming in. They were very patient with us. And there's a lot of stuff we don't know. I mean, we're not CPAs. I went that different route to finance for a reason. That is not my cup of tea. So I was glad to get it done, but I appreciate Adam and his crew coming in. Most of this was done online. There was very little in person at all, hardly. And that says a lot about what's accomplished. Looking at a 150-page document that was done over how many months. So I appreciate what these guys did too.
Well, and that was part of our discussion when we decided to go with a new firm and, is to get a fresh look, and we got that.
Anything else? Right, thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, this brings us to Resolution 26-11, a resolution creating parcels VV, WW, XX, YY, ZZ, AB, AC, and AD in Block 28, Kretzmeyer's Edition, Waverly, Iowa. Do I have a motion?
I'll move approval of Resolution 26-11, a resolution creating parcels VV, WW, XX, YY, ZZ, AB, AC, and AD in Block 28, Kretzmeyer's Edition, Waverly, Iowa.
Second. Is there any discussion?
This is a continuation of what we've been doing, meeting after meeting, and we're close. There shouldn't be too many more of these. For those watching, so this was done in the 50s. It was never formally actually finished, the documentation, et cetera. This will finish it, so hopefully we're getting close.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call vote, please, Carmen.
Mackey,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Wolf,
Yes.
Rafi.
Yes.
Moving on to Resolution 26-12, a resolution approving a quote from Electric Pump of Des Moines, Iowa for the purchase of a new irrigation pump at the golf course. Do I have a motion?
I move approval of Resolution 26-12, a resolution approving a quote from Electric Pump of Des Moines, Iowa for the purchase of a new irrigation pump at the golf course for a cost of $9,348.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please, Carla.
Mackey,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Wolf,
Yes.
Rafi.
Yes.
That brings us to Resolution 26-13, a resolution approving the removal of a cottonwood tree at the north end of Coleman Park by Arbor Pro Tree Services, LLC of Fort Dodge, Iowa. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve Resolution 26-13, a resolution approving the removal of a cottonwood tree at the north end of Coleman Park by Arbor Pro Tree Services, LLC of Fort Dodge, Iowa, for a cost of $4,250.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I feel like I should send Paul Cheville a sympathy card for this, because I bet this is painful for him.
It's a big tree.
It's a big tree.
Hate to see him go
It was very
down.
difficult for him to say this one needs to come.
Yeah, yeah.
It was looking pretty rotten down at where the first part had been taken out, it's really gone down.
Yep, we've had our eye on it for quite a while.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Kangas, Jones,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Wolf,
Yes.
Rafi.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
That takes us to Resolution 26-14, a resolution approving a quote from Steggy Construction, Inc. of Waverly, Iowa for the repair of the Shades of Rhythm Amphitheater and authorize the mayor to sign the quote. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve Resolution 2614, a resolution approving a quote from State Construction, Inc. of Waverly, Iowa for the repair of the Shades of Rhythm Amphitheater and to authorize the mayor to sign the quote of $79,640, for which insurance will cover $78,640 and the city will pay the $1,000 deductible.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Jones,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Wolf,
Yes.
Rafi.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
That brings us to Resolution 26-15, a resolution approving change order number 4 for the Waverly Aquatic Center from Woodruff Construction of Fort Dodge, Iowa. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve Resolution 26-15, a resolution approving change order number 4 for the Waverly Aquatic Center from Woodruff for construction of Fort Dodge, Iowa, for the increased amount of $15,430.47.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Harmon.
Yes.
Wolf.
Yes.
Rafi.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Okay, council, you have received the report from Waverly Municipal Housing Commission. Do you have any discussion? Okay, that brings us to staff updates. Mr. Bronner?
We have nothing tonight, ma'am.
Nothing tonight? Okay, that brings us to city council comments. Sorry, excuse me. Councilperson Rafi?
Nothing from me, thanks.
Nothing for me? Nothing for you?
Nothing tonight.
Councilperson Mackey?
Bears with Bart afterwards, and I found out that people indeed do watch us after going to my mechanic, and he was saying, I watch religiously every Monday night, and there was actually a person waiting there that had watched our meeting on his phone and said, come and talk to me about that snow.
Fantastic.
And it was, and he was honestly, because I never thought about all this stuff, so, yeah. Please come and talk.
Councilperson Wolf?
Went to a housing summit in Calburn on Thursday, where the mayor was also there. And we'll be going to another one on Thursday in Cedar Falls, just trying to learn more about what housing looks like in the area and how to improve things in Waverly.
Guest councilperson, do you have any comments tonight?
The only thing I will do is, due to my invitation tonight, I engaged my 17-year-old daughter to listen, and she has confirmed via text that she's listening. So we're trying to incorporate the younger generation to get more involved in the community.
Do you have anything embarrassing you want to share about
Nope.
that?
I text back and say she heard this. So
That's probably
thank you for
embarrassing enough that she's listening.
My mom mentioned me.
Yeah.
You know, I had something I was gonna say, but honestly, I'm just glad January and all 187 days of it are over. I'm glad that groundhog saw his shadow, so if anybody has a good recipe for groundhog stew, I'm game. And I appreciate that our council people go above and beyond to meet people where they're at, to have conversations, to really get out there in the community, to go the extra mile, go to housing summits and do some of the extra work that you're doing. So thank you to our wonderful council. At this point, we have an executive session. We're going to, oh my gosh. We're going into executive session. So to discuss strategy with council in matters that are presently in litigation or where litigation is imminent, where its disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the position of a governmental body in that litigation as provided by section 21.51C of the Code of Iowa. Do I have a motion?
I move that we enter into executive session to discuss strategy with counsel in matters that are presently in litigation or where litigation is imminent, where its disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the position of the governmental body in that litigation, as provided by Section 21.5, subset 1C of the Code of Iowa.
Do I have a
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Wolf.
Yes.
Rafi.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Harmon.
Yes.
So, everybody clear out? Is still what it is? Before we get out of here?